Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Bo again. So, today we are going to talk a little bit more about Yellowstone, the national park, and what didn't happen on the 4th of July. We're going to provide a little bit of an update because people asked about it and the information wasn't available at time of filming. And then we will go through a couple of questions, and some of the questions are both teachable moments and a little bit illuminating, even if one part of it seems a little bit irrelevant at first. Okay, so if you missed it and don't know what happened, on the 4th of July, a person was reportedly intent on doing a whole bunch of people harm. Most reports say that's what was going on. The park rangers there deployed best practices over an extended period of time, and they had a pretty good outcome. The only person that was lost was the attacker. So one of the questions that came in a whole lot was the status of the one ranger who was hit. And my understanding is that they are in stable condition. From what I have heard, I haven't seen this confirmed yet, but from what I have heard through the rumor mill, they were hit in the leg. Okay, so another question that has come in relates to motive. The idea has come up that the person really wasn't intent on doing a whole bunch of people harm, that, well, they just wanted to use the cops to take themselves out. Is that possible? Sure. I mean, speculation about motive, there's going to be a bunch of it, and we will know when we know, but not before then. It is a completely possible scenario. But the thing to know about that is that if that was the case, they still would have deployed roughly the same practices, the same tactics, and they would have got the same result. Now, this next part, it was an element in a whole bunch of questions that came in about this. And generally, it was phrased something like, why were the park rangers able to do this? It's not like, they have SWAT. Okay, well, first, National Park Service does actually have SWAT. Most federal agencies that have a law enforcement function have a SWAT team. There are SWAT park rangers that exists. The reason that this is worth bringing up right now is because they were subject to a pretty big conspiracy theory, a right-wing conspiracy theory a while back. And the questions kept coming in about, well, why do park rangers need so much ammo? And there were a whole bunch of different agencies. The answer to that question is this. This is why, right here. When that was going on, I think my favorite out of all of the agencies that were implicated in this was the Department of Energy. Because when you think about the Department of Energy, you think, lights, power. They also transfer nuclear material. As far as federal agencies where I want their shooters to be able to dump a mag into a 3x5 card, they're pretty much at the top of the list. But because people bought into a conspiracy theory, they used meme level knowledge to form their opinion. They didn't understand that. All of that is kind of irrelevant, though, to Yellowstone, because based on what I've seen, there's been no mention of them using the SWAT team. It exists, but it doesn't look as though it was used here. I feel like since they are subject to conspiracy theories, they would probably point out if it had been their SWAT team, because then they could do what I just did and be like, this is why we, need the ammo. But the core of that question, that only SWAT teams can do it, it has two assumptions in it that we probably need to get rid of. First is that SWAT teams are the most effective at doing it. that's not been the case. Look at Nashville. It wasn't the SWAT team. The other thing to note about this is that it reinforces a really bad habit when it comes to the idea of the warrior cop. SWAT is an acronym, Special Weapons and Tactics. When most people focus on SWAT, and they're asking it in this way, they're focusing just on the weapons, the gear, the equipment. The tactics are far more important, as was just demonstrated at Yellowstone. If it was the weapons that did it and the equipment that did it, the U.S. Army would just give everybody in the Army the same equipment that Delta has. But that's not what does it. The reason operators are operators, it's not because they have all the gear. It's because they can do that stuff without the gear if they need to. The tactics, the training is what's important, and that's what pays off. A lot of the misapplication of force from law enforcement comes from focusing on the equipment rather than the training. So it's one of those things, just kind of keep it in mind when you're making this comparison, that it's the T that's important, not the W. When you look at Nashville and you review that footage, they didn't have a lot of extra equipment. In fact, one of the things that made it so impressive was that they really didn't have anything other than what they had in their squad cars. And they overcame pretty much every excuse that we've heard of from SWAT teams. We hit a locked door, or, the area was too big, or so on and so forth. I only had a pistol, and the other guy had a rifle. All of the excuses were present there. And Nashville showed that through the use of good tactics, they are in fact excuses, not reasons. So it's just something to keep in mind as this story progresses, and hopefully it will start to get more coverage, because based on what we've heard so far, what has come through the rumor mill, this should probably be taught. But right now, there's a focus on, whether or not somebody's too old to cover pretty much anything else. Anyway, it's just a thought. Y'all have a good day.